Write what you know. That is a common piece of writing advice that has been given out for honestly who knows how long. People say to write what you know. Probably to avoid dipping into things that you don't fully understand, to not offend people. Even though I feel like it's been more in the recent years that we've been also worried about offending people with art. But I gotta say, this is a piece of advice that I do not fully agree with. I got bit by a mosquito on my ankle and. Wait. Anyways, this is not a piece of advice that I fully agree with. When it comes to write what you know, what do you expect us to write? Because odds are there's not a lot of people that know a lot of things about fighting dragons out there. There are a lot of books about fighting dragons out there. And I have never in my life met a person who fought a dragon. Never met a witch, as far as I know. Never met a wizard, sorcerer. Never met an elf, warlock, a god, an alien. Never met any of these things. Yet these stories still exist. Because it's not about writing exactly what you know, staying within your lane and writing only about your experiences and what you yourself have actually gone through. But it's about writing what you understand and understanding that the whole aspect of this comes down to the human experience. An experience that we all share, unless you are a dragon, a witch, an alien, or some of the other things that I listed off. But it comes down to human experience. It comes down to love, grief, loneliness, feeling misunderstood. Just all these things that we feel as human beings. And regardless of the setting, regardless of who's telling the story, regardless of all of this, if you as a writer can capture that human experience, you can then connect with human beings. Possibly even a couple of witches and warlocks, but mostly human beings. I don't know about the aliens. So, when it comes we actually were just having a conversation about this in one of my classes that I am teaching this summer, where we were talking about social issues being addressed in literature, and how do we want authors to only write about things like issues that they have personally experienced, or is it okay for authors to write about things that they have not personally experienced? And it was some mixed reviews when it came to like how it was. The verdict tend to the verdict came down to how it's written, because we've seen it before. We have so seen it before, where we talk about, this is a big one that's been popping up, feminine rage, or just females written by males in general, where a woman will watch a movie or read a book that's a woman written by a man, and vice versa, and just be like, yeah, that's not how we do life, you know? That's, you're over pushing it. If you really think that if I had a choice of the Adidas and the stilettos, and I know I'm about to step out and fight a robot monster alien thing, you think I'm picking the stilettos? But yeah, so we've seen it. We've seen matters in which like people did not understand who they were creating, these characters that they were creating, and who they represented. So if it's done poorly, and I think a lot of things always come down to this, if it's done poorly, if it's done fictitiously, like, uh, if it's done fetish y, like, dang near all of Euphoria season 3, um, then it makes you question a lot of things and makes you say the things like, write what you know. But when an author, a creator takes the time to actually break down to the bones of a character and why they make certain choices and why they are the way they are, who they are in the life that they lived that made them become the person that they currently are, I feel like you don't need to have experienced that life in order to fairly represent it. You just have to care. You have to care enough to look beyond stereotypes and look beyond male gaze, female gaze, whatever gaze, and just see them first as a human before you see them as any other character type that you bestow upon them. Which I know I'm talking about fictional characters and seeing them as human, but that's how you get the characters that people fall in love with, the characters that people still think about, the characters that people it's like, look, I would die for these characters. You have to believe that they're real. Because if you don't believe that they're real, if you don't treat them like they're real, then nobody else is going to. There has been several books that I read this year where I'm like, okay, the book was entertaining, but I don't care about anything that happens to these characters at all. What was it? I was reading Verity, and I was entertained. Definitely entertained. But in the book, there was a small child, and people started dying and stuff, and I'm like, oh, they ain't killed a boy. I'm not attached to this boy at all whatsoever. I am not attached to this character at all. I'm not attached to a single character in this book. I didn't care what happened to any of them. At this point, I'm like, I hope it's a slaughterhouse. At this point, let me just be entertained, because that's all this is. This is not an emotional connection. This is not something that I feel like I'm going to get anything out of. I am only here for the sake of entertainment. And that's okay. Having those kind of stories are perfectly fine. But if you're someone who wants to write those books that really like sink in with people and write those unforgettable characters, you don't have to worry about writing someone who's just like you. Honestly, I am so sick of reading books about writers. Why? Why do we have so many books about writers? I understand that authors self-insert, but you became a writer for a reason. You started writing about fake people because your life wasn't that interesting. So why are you writing about you in this fake book? In the ideal you that's sitting here with six-figure book deals and things of that nature, living in a large house with giant portraits of themselves. Like, are you for real? Stop writing about writers, people. We don't care. Writers were never meant to be the main character. We were literally just supposed to be the one perked up in the back observing. See, this is where The Perks of Being a Wallflower is one of my favorite books. But The Perks of Being a Wallflower, this is where that comes from. Penelope Bridgerton. Well, now she's Penelope Bridgerton. Penelope from Bridgerton. Yes, these are the ones. If I got a writer that is just throwing themselves out there and claim to fame and living this bold adventure and then writing about it. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I might believe you, but odds are no. We're the dorks. We're the nerds. We were the quiet kids. We were the ones that were reading books at basketball games. I am not jumping out of a helicopter. I'm not skydiving. I am a punk. But will I write about a skydiving experience that you can feel with and connect with? Yes. Because although I never jumped out of an airplane, I have felt the butterflies in your stomach when you know that you are about to do something that you can't turn back from. I know what anxiety feels like, where it hits in your body. I know what it feels like to stand in front of something so challenging and so scary, and knowing that there really is no turning back, that you have to take this leap. And once you understand how these human feelings connect with one another, you can write almost anything. It's just write it well. And the people won't have anything to complain about. Even though people are going to complain regardless. A writing motto of mine is, if I'm not pissing somebody off, then I'm doing it wrong. So, write what you know. Mm-mm. Write what you understand. And you understand what it's like to be a human being who is experiencing emotions, hopefully. I mean, you could be a psychopath, a sociopath, you know. You may not know what it's like to experience human emotion. But if you do, just think about how those emotions show up in yourself and how they can show up in other situations. Because we're more alike than we are different. We don't like to accept that and believe that all the time, but we are. Just a little piece for your inner monologue. Alright, stepping out for today. I have to go to the gym. And then I am probably going to go skating later. They're having this like retro skate party. And I am so curious as to what retro is now. Because if you start bumping like 2010s, like if you said we're having a retro skate party and we over here listening to T-Pain, I'm old. I am old. It's fine. It's fine. I'm 29. Anyways, I'm out. Bye. See you tomorrow.